Yo,
The first podcast I'm doing in person.
for real?
Yeah.
Yo,
You just
now that's
go online.
nice.
Is this one?
Yes, that's the one.
You just do online stuff, right, all the time.
We do all remote too, usually.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you never
You
get
gotta
to like.
you also go
Oh,
very
we
close.
live?
Yeah, we
Okay,
already.
cool.
That's how we. That's how we.
That's
go.
how we
Just,
roll. Let's
very
fucking go. That's how we go.
conversational, very just like diving into it.
Love it.
But dude, it's been tough to get you onto this couch because I see you walk around,
Yeah.
and then I see 5 people around you.
Yeah, it's mad.
Are you like a little bit of a Web3 superstar? Would you say that's the case?
I don't know. I mean, I like talking to people, and people are coming and we talk and we have conversations and it's fun. I come to those places because of that. Like, if you ask me what are the booths about, I have no idea. I just came here to meet people, talk to them, connect. Like I've done the keynote here and also the panel there on the main stage. And
Yeah, you did both
cool.
the MXCO main stage and W3 Vision, huh?
Yeah, that was fun.
High demand.
Yeah,
Did you notice a difference between the two areas, between two different halls?
I mean, the difference is that we haven't taken over yet, which is going to happen the next 2 or 3 years. Like we are here in the corner, which is great. We are inside. We got to talk to the right people. We got to be in front of the right people. But I'm excited to see when the model starts flipping and Web3 starts becoming more predominant, which is going to happen. So that's what excites me. The cool thing on the main stage is that we had about 1,000 people, right, sitting there, and I pulled up a poap that I had prepared for people to be able to like claim a proof of presence on the keynote, on the panel, sorry. And we had 350 people that claimed.
That's a good conversion rate.
That's a huge conversion rate, and most of them were emails, meaning those people don't have wallet, meaning we are getting more and more people into the space. Yeah. People are interested, people are curious. Now through the email onboarding, we are able to teach them step by step how to get a wallet. And that's what it is, it's like changing the world one wallet at a time. That's the kind of thing I love about it.
One wallet at a time. I love that. May I ask which POAP service you used? Did you use Ethereum, Solana, Polygon?
We use Genesis, which is from POAP itself, right? Yeah. Proof of protocol, the guys that build that. I'm partners with poap.fr, which are the sort of like the agency and studio that works with all the brands. So I'm close to them. They're good partners, and that's what we used. Yeah. So no gas fees for the issuer, no gas fees for the claimer. POAP absorbs all the costs, and it's a cool model to show people what the possibilities are.
Yeah, very frictionless entry into the space, right?
Totally. And then I was, while they were claiming, I was like, now think that maybe in a year from now, 6 months from now, I'm going to be throwing an event and I'm going to have a special room that if you show up and you show that at the door, you can get access to that room. Or if I have a course in the future, a talk or a product or anything, you can go connect your wallet on the website I have that's Web3 enabled, and that can give you a discount, or that can give you exclusive content, or that can give you a special perk, or that can give you, something that you cannot get anywhere in the world if you were not part of that moment in time. Now expand that to brands. Now expand that to loyalty. Yeah. Now expand that to membership. Now expand that to consumer and customer service. Now expand that to experiences. Now expand that to e-commerce. And that's how you get people to think about Web3 in a manner that we don't talk about the technology. We don't talk about blockchain. We don't explain the difference between proof of work, proof of stake, and all that madness that we barely can explain because it's hard as fuck and we are not giga brains that are developing it. So that's how you get people to understand in a manner that makes sense to them.
100%. That's what I was almost referring to next, is that POAPs, you don't need to know what the utility will be right now, right? It's just a proof of attendance. You got that now. You got the email address, hopefully the wallet address at some point, if they tend to transfer their POAP to the wallet. And now you get to do whatever you want with it. You might, like you said, give them access to special events or give them access to your course for a discount if that were to launch. And didn't G Money build his community primarily on POAP?
100%.
Can you maybe walk us through that example real quick too?
Yeah. So G is a good friend. Shout out. We've been close since I got introduced to him through the Adidas work. And then people that won the Adidas POAP, but also the POAP from the podcast and the meetups he's been doing were the ones that got listed to be part of the actual drop from Adidas. So that's the manner that he's done it. But then every time he did Twitter Spaces, people were also able to claim POAPs from the Twitter Spaces he's been part of. So when he launched Admit One, which was his project of 1,000 people that want to build Web3 stuff together, to be close and to be close to him, a good part of it was also people that have claimed his POAP before. So he selected a lot of people to be part of it as people that he believes from the space, thought leaders that are pushing the boundaries. But then he also, rewarded his community for being there early with him and for being there throughout the journey with him. So it's amazing. At a certain point, that project went to a 20 ETH floor. So if you do 20 ETH, let's make it to, just to make it easier. So it's about 40 grand that you could have made if you would like to sell that project that you got rewarded and granted just because you were loyal to what he's building. And that's amazing. I'm not like pushing the financial elements of it, but I'm rather looking to the value creation of the power of a creator that is well known and respected in the space, and how much you can move attention and interest, because that's what people are paying for, right? Whoever bought that for 40 grand was trying to buy access to a community of really, really, really dope people that really believe in what he's building. And again, that's one-to-one to brands, right? Why not a car manufacturer could do the same? Why, a fashion brand could do the same? Or an event like we are right now can do the same.
And many people are distributing POAPs. And I mean, we've been doing this also for the past 8 months, sometimes in a podcast. Maybe there will be a podcast or like a POAP in the show notes here. Who knows? And who knows what we'll do with it? If we launch a DAO, if we launch an NFT, whatever it is, we now have an audience to distribute that to. And that's powerful. You mentioned well-known personalities. You mentioned G-Money, who has built a brand on top of Twitter pretty much. And now everyone knows him in the space. You've done something similar. And that also ties to the fact that you've been approached by so many people in that little time span I've seen you or observed you while trying to get you on that couch. Walk us through that journey of, I think for you, was it LinkedIn primarily that you were leveraging for yourself?
LinkedIn only. Yeah. So for me, the more time I spend in a space natively to it, Twitter, Discords, and all of that, the more I've seen how difficult it is for people to get it, people that are not part of it. The more I have seen that our community is still not as inclusive as you wish to, because the language is not, easy to understand. The more I have seen that because this space was natively built and born from technologists to technologists, the more I have seen that the barriers to enter, understand are huge, right? So while going through that process, I was like, how do you make it easier? And how do you go to a place where you're not preaching to the core, right? Because if you're creating content on Twitter, I'm preaching to you and you're preaching to me, and we're on the same page, right? We know what it's about. We know where we want to get. We know how we're going to go there, and we are working in different fronts to make it happen. Everyone is working towards mainstream adoption, right? Everyone believes on the possibilities and the beautiful things that this space now enables us to do as community, right? So my point was reverse engineering and finding a space where the people were not talking about it, that not many conversations are happening. And that's, LinkedIn, because LinkedIn has been boring as fuck for so long, right?
It was just your static CV for the past 10 years.
Is a dead platform for creativity. It's all about like, oh, I'm stoked to announce that I have a new job, or, oh, this is a project that I'm launching. Oh, I want to show my company. And the power of the platform is networking and connecting with brands and professionals from Web2 that, are potentially or very likely interested in learning new opportunities and possibilities, especially in technology. So when I sort of like clicked that in my brain, I was like, oh, wow, like there's an untapped opportunity here. So I became the translator from Twitter to LinkedIn, and I changed my PFP back in, I think, November last year, and start posting and start talking about it. And I started getting some traction and some people reaching out. I was like, oh, dope. Like people actually care about it, and nobody's doing anything like that. Or I haven't seen anybody doing anything like that apart from someone like Gary, right? But Gary does that in a totally different scale, and he talks about several different things. And one of them is NFTs and crypto and Web3 and so on. So it's just like, cool, let's test the water. And I start building content. I started, gathering people. People were excited. The community is way more positive than on Twitter because, anonymity enables a lot of positive things, but also a lot of people hide behind it because it's a safe way to, just to hate on anyone. And LinkedIn is a cool place because you're directly talking to someone that you can, DM and potentially create business with, or, partner or create anything that has already a very good and impact that it can be whether revenue or anything like that. So like, long story short, like I feel one, as a platform, LinkedIn is extremely underrated because it performs so well. Two, not so many people were doing content back then. And three, most 99.9% of my leads come from there, right? So the big brands I work with, the people that I engage, I got invited to be here through LinkedIn. Like that's the place for me, like, and it's been really exciting because we're being able to bring the culture, the positive part of the culture, to LinkedIn. So, it's cool to see, like, we don't need to be suited up, right? We don't need to be like afraid of like being not professional. Like, we bring the culture as raw as it is, and whoever resonates and understands it is coming along, which is cool. You can be yourself, you can be authentic, you're building community, you're caring about people, you're making, really cool connections. So it's been a cool platform for me. And, it's been 9 months now,
and when you think about it, right?
It's working really well, and I'm really, really humbled to be in a position where people care about what I have to say.
Crazy. And I mean, we've experienced the same thing. Victoria started last December. She was one of the first ones talking about Web3 in German, so even more niche.
Awesome.
And her first post blew up. She reached hundreds of thousands of people. So you get that organic reach, which is another upside of LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And all of the opportunities that emerged started through her personal profile, just sharing her journey, talking about her learnings in Web3. And you've done the same simultaneously with a bigger, broader English speaking market. Do you have any tips or frameworks or ways in how you approach, especially the content creation side of things? Because I feel like that's the thing most people struggle with.
Yeah, I think creating content demands time, demands thinking, and thinking hurts because it demands energy.
My head hurts right now.
Right? And that's the simple shit I could come up with, because what's happening right now, especially on LinkedIn, and I've been following it and calling it out, is there are two things happening. One is people are just doing dumbass content, right? Like copy and paste a link and like just sharing it, which is like, you can do better, because I'm sure you have expertise in certain areas that you can, take your time and build content against. But it's easier just to copy and paste that, Starbucks now is doing something and everybody's saying the same thing.
Yeah.
There is no value.
Merge.
There's no value, right? There's no value there. So I'm pushing the community to think more and to, give more value. Because what's happening is we are coming into a platform that 99% of the people don't know what we're talking about. And if we are not perceived as someone that is making an effort for them to understand and feel welcome and feel that there is a place for them to get started, what is the point? Right? And I don't feel we are doing that as community right now. So I'm always pushing people to like do better content and take time. Don't look at the success or the amount of followers and blah, 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 blah. Like just do good stuff, whatever it is, right? Maybe you're meeting his podcast. That's what you're doing. Maybe someone else is writing, like Zeneca. He's writing long ass content, and it's cool because that's his stuff. There are other people doing videos. I play with memes, like that's what works best for me.
That you balance education and hot takes with memes.
That's my formula. Works for me, right? It's natural to me. So that's kind of like what is important. And the second thing, which I'm being very vocal about, and probably people are now already annoyed to hear, but I won't stop, is that everybody's an expert now. Everybody's an expert because everybody's short-sighted. Everybody's like trying to make a sale, trying to claim space. People have seen the possibilities now that, yes, you can make money with that thing through consultancy because the market is down. So flipping is not a thing anymore. So I'm an expert. And, again, we're tapping into a new platform with a lot of people that don't get it. And the worse we make for them to come in, the longer this whole thing's going to take. Right? So whoever is calling themselves an expert right now, you got to run. Because this person is definitely not an expert.
It's a red flag. I remember in January, like you have a creator profile on LinkedIn, I assume, with the hash. So you saw all of a sudden everyone had Web3 in their hashtag portfolio.
Yeah.
And so, it's definitely been a theme. Is there a way to actually see through the noise and identify the smart people actually trying to build cool shit?
Dude, it's very easy. It's very easy. It's the quality of the content, how deep they go, how deep they engage with the people that are commenting, right? Are they just like throwing emojis and LFGs, or are they really like engaging and trying to explain, and also like experience. I mean, would you go to a doctor that haven't consulted anyone before in your life, believing that he's able to do whatever he's saying he is or she's saying he is, or would you rather, work with someone that has done stuff? No matter what is the size. I'm not talking about like work with the biggest brands in the world. No, like maybe you launch your own PFP project back in the day, or maybe you were part of a DAO and you learned a lot of things about it and you're sharing your knowledge and you're sharing your learnings. And again, you don't need to be the expert. I think like Gary's one of the best takes I ever seen from Gary Vee was when he said that you should not aim to be an expert, but you should aim to be an enthusiast.
Yeah.
Right?
And Gary,
you might have seen it because it's dope. It is exactly that. You cannot make it better.
Yeah, and I remember when I started my content journey 4.5 years ago, Gary was such a huge influence because he instilled that framework or mindset that just document your journey, man. Just talk about what you're experiencing, try to add value through that documentation. And the more you experience, the more you learn. If you ship a product, talk about that too. But just shifting your mindset from I gotta market this product to the experience of building a product and the people you're meeting, the struggles you're facing. That's where the magic happens. That's 100%. Where Gary provided a lot of value. Do you block time every week to create content? Do you like batch stuff? Do you have a team? I mean, Gary, because my former co-founder was an employee of his personal branding team, so I learned a lot from him on
Gary's
the approach.
Team?
Yeah, Team Gary Vee.
Team Gary Vee.
And they have like, I guess at peak they were like 30 people on the personal branding team.
Sick.
Do you have 30 people on your team?
I wish. No, I'm a very unconventional guy. Like I'm not a role model for anything, because I love operating at the highest risks, right? So when I first got into the space the way I did, I just had bought a house. My son was 6 months old. I quit Adidas, which was my main revenue stream, to go head first. I had nothing. I had no client, no prospects, nothing. And I went head first because I like operating at risk, because that makes me drive and go deeper and faster and be more hungry and passionate and motivates me. And with content is the same. I mean, I'm sitting around between meetings and all of a sudden something hits my brain. I'm like, fuck yeah, you need to post about that. And I go there and create on the spot and see if it sticks or not. My buffer queue has maybe 1 or 2 days worth of content up front. And from there, I just improvise and go with that. So, I mean, it's a very peculiar way of doing, even like interviews or keynotes. People are like, how long do you prepare your slides? Like, I don't know. I just put some stuff together and go there and talk, because I feel it feels so much more genuine when we are able to have conversations rather than like pre-planned robotic stuff, and that's how I operate. I just kind of like go with the flow, and if something feels right, I go and talk about it.
Love that. I mean, that's very much the theme of today's session. I didn't know I would see you today. And I didn't prepare any questions. We're just going off the cuff right now. I'll admit that.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I'm enjoying the convo so far. One thing I'm curious about, because you did come out of nowhere, on LinkedIn, you took over, and now you're one of the most well-known faces in the web3 ecosystem, at least on LinkedIn. How did you get into web3? Like, what was that experience like? You mentioned Adidas, obviously one big brand.
Yeah.
You worked with.
Yeah. I'm a marketeer, right? So I'm a brand guy. I'm a digital strategist. I started working when I was 16 years old, right? I got into agencies and the agency side, and I was doing like social media for them back in the day. I was looking into like how they can get into gaming from a brand perspective. So I was always on that side, more connected to the culture, technology, and how you sort of like bridge those two things. Then I've been consulting brands for the last year on digital marketing, digital strategy, and branding. But the more marketing started evolving to a analytical skill, right? Growth marketing, growth hack.
What's the ROI of this campaign?
What is the ROI of this? I just got bored. I was like, this is so boring. I cannot be creative anymore. We are not talking about humans anymore. We are talking about targets. We are talking about consumers. We are talking about, hitting certain KPIs and become extremely boring to me. And I've been in blockchain since 2017. So, I sort of like saw a lot about the technology, the use case, but that space was so heavy tech oriented that I never found my space in the community. And then I am sitting at Adidas. I've been consulting the brand for 4 years in digital in general. And then this friend of mine, Ben Mayer White, you might have heard of him.
Yeah, I've seen him on LinkedIn too.
Yeah, so he's big in Twitter as well. He comes about and starts showing me his apes and start talking about everything. And I was like, bro, you're fucking nuts. Like that makes no sense, right? Like, no, I'm not buying an ape for $2,000. It's not going to go anywhere, right? So I passed on Bitcoin in 2014. I bought a lot. I had like 12 bitcoins, changed all into shit coins in the top of the bull market in
That's
2017.
when I got into crypto too.
The bear hit really bad in February 2018.
That was rough.
All the shit coins went south. I saw NFTs right after mint with Bored Apes, passed on Bored Apes, and I still kind of like learn a lot from that. And I was like, wow, like the only way to win in the space is sticking around. The only way to win in the space is by being curious and constantly keep digging and learning, because you can learn so much every day. And then by seeing all of that from a degen perspective, from inside out, from the community, and at the same time being able to, be invited to be part of what Adidas was building through Ben and other people that were building already with the company, I could see the behind the scenes of what that could mean for corporates. And also I've seen from the behind the scenes what it means for the community. And I was like, this is mind blowing, right? So we are going through a renaissance where technology meets culture. And every time that happens, the world changes. We've seen that with newspaper and print. We've seen that with radio. We've seen that with TV. We've seen that with social. And now we're seeing that with NFTs. And the next thing is going to be metaverse, right? So when that thing clicked to me, I just went all in and I went to that scenario. I told you that I dropped everything I was doing and went full on that. And, the last 9 months, I've been doing three things. I consult and advise Fortune 500 brands. So I work with brands like, Unilever, Salesforce, L'Oreal, Volkswagen, Shell. I do upskilling session with those brands. I do a lot of and spend a lot of time with, NFT founders, people that are Web3 creators, Web3 founders, because that's where I learn the most and that's where I keep the knife sharp. And I do a lot of education. I drop a masterclass, I think 3 or 4 months ago on how brands should enter the metaverse.
Good launch. I mean, your post about the actual course itself seemed to drive a lot of engagement. Were people excited about it?
It's been amazing. The response has been great. We run wave 2 with 150 people, wave 1 with 150 people. I get a lot of feedback. I went there, hustled my ass off to make sure that the second one is even better. I refunded everyone that wasn't happy with what they got. I spent a lot of hours with the community understanding what can be better. The whole thing with the masterclass is not about money. The whole thing with the masterclass is how do you help people to get it in a manner that I can scale. I cannot scale my time. As an individual, right? So that's why I put it out. I charge more than, a lot of people might have been comfortable with, because I wanted to get the people that are really serious and care about it. So they're going to go put their money down and spend hours going through it and learning. So they become advocates and go out there and also talk about it and help other people to get in. So, that's kind of like where I spend a lot of my time, like on the education side. And this last 9 months has been a lot about that, a lot about conference, talking, upskilling, podcasts. I've been doing like over 30 podcasts. I've been, answering calls from people that are doing, bachelor theses, MBAs. I mean, I'm trying to do as much as I can to help this thing goes as fast as possible, because I believe on the vision.
GG, and you're really having an impact in the space, and we love to see it. And I mean, the thing with the course too, just to finalize that thought, is also the only way pretty much to scale a consulting business is to go into actually information products, right?
Yeah.
And so you're doing that. Yeah. And to scale your knowledge and what you're sharing with people. Love to see it. And now looking into the future, do you have any exciting plans? Are you launching your own NFT project at some point? You got a community business in the making?
You want to have some alpha?
Yes, sir.
No, man. Like for me, I divided sort of like my tactic to this approach in 3 phases. I'm phase 1 right now. Phase 1 is work with the biggest brands that exist and make sure that you are in the right rooms to help them understanding and doing it right. Because as soon as they do it, they bring their consumer base with them. And that's how we go faster towards mainstream adoption. By working with the biggest brands in the world, we can make a very clear statement that everyone is looking at that opportunity. So whoever is an entrepreneur, a small brand, a creator, can see where the market's headed, because smart money is going that direction. So they're going to feel empowered to go there and build. And if they build it right, we go faster into mass adoption. So that's where I spend a lot of my time. And that comes with education. That comes with like keeping myself on my toes by working with a lot of founders, learning from them. Every single day, someone blows my mind. with something dope they are doing, with something that I haven't thought was possible, with something that I didn't imagine someone would be building, right? And that's what excites me about it. So I'm pretty much on this phase one. I don't know for how long it's going to last. Obviously I'm building my personal brand on the way because, gives me voice, gives me opportunity to be heard. And again, I'm grateful that people care about what I have to say. And I hope, I stick around as long as people see value on what I have to share.
And speaking of exciting projects and founders you're talking to, people that blow your minds, maybe the opposite of that, is there a trend or thing you're experiencing in a space, observing in a space that annoys you, that you feel like it's just kind of like thin air, it's overhyped, overdone?
I think that a lot of people that are trying to catch up, especially big brands, because it took them so long to be able to even like finish a strategy, they are working 6 months ahead schedule, behind schedule, right? So sometimes I get brands approaching me that they're gonna do a PFP, and I'm like, are you really paying attention to what's happening, right? Like, do you have finger in the pulse? Like, that's the most important thing. If there is one thing that I would recommend anyone that is in this space, is having finger on the pulse, right? It changes every single minute. Things go left, go right. You need to be, really smart about how you keep up to speed, and how you bring all those big tankers to be able to move faster. And that's kind of like what I'm a bit concerned, which is you still seeing strategy decks that have been built for 6 or 8 months, not changing, and sort of like reshaping based on the possibilities. And a lot of those brands are trying to predict the future by looking at the present, and that's not how you get there. So when I see stuff like, what Starbucks is doing, what we just seen, I think yesterday, Universal Parks now, also utilizing NFTs in certain ways, like that's what makes me excited, because we're going beyond JPEGs, right? We're going beyond collectibles. We're going beyond PFPs. We start looking into how we actually can integrate this new technology in a manner that is seamless to the average Joe, right? That is seamless to someone that doesn't understand and doesn't give a fuck about any of it, but now we can use the technology, right? Like I say that the only moment blockchain will be mainstream is as soon as we don't talk about it anymore.
Yeah, and that's been the theme on this event to all the people I talked to. I mean, even Starbucks not using NFT in their actual wording. It's to distance yourself from the hype, from the scammy nature of what it's been perceived as.
Yeah.
To now maybe end this convo also on a more positive, bullish note. What would be one use case, one trend, one project that's kind of like leading the way into mass adoption that excites you the most? We've heard people talk about gaming. Now it seems like it's going to take a little bit more time. We had the DeFi summer. What's the one thing or the one trend, the one movement would you say is paving the way over the next 12 months?
It's difficult because we don't see a lot of things going towards the direction just yet, right? I think, again, the companies that are hiding NFTs under the hood and making sure, they're not putting that as a scary first step, especially for onboarding, are the ones that I think gonna be doing a good job on onboarding more people. But I don't know. I think the more we start using this technology within the next 12 months that is connected to how you can enhance consumer experience, how you can replace old school or web2 ways of doing things now with this technology, because the technology allows, not because you want to just follow the hype. I think that's where things going to get interesting. I've been talking to the biggest airlines in the world, and they're looking into, bringing all that stuff into the actual, one, their supply chain on the back, but two, also consumer facing without calling it NFTs, real world programs. So I think what we are seeing through Starbucks, I think that's a catalyst right now, which, is a lot of people gonna look at that and like, oh, NFTs are also that? Okay, that makes sense to us. What about, replacing our membership program with that? What about creating a marketplace like Uniswap where you can exchange tokens, but for membership program, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like where I think is going to be exciting. because all brands going to start doing their reward programs on chain. Maybe they're going to do their own coins and all of that. And that interoperability that blockchain allows you to do, that now you don't live in silos anymore, is what going to become interesting for consumers as well, to be able, oh, I'm a big Nike person, but I would love to buy something somewhere else, and I can like swap maybe that token and get something from somewhere else. So use case like that, which are really connected with enhancing user experience or rewarding, consumers, or hiding the technology under the hood and connecting with your product. Indeed, I think those are the ones that are going to bring us there.
I love it. And I mean, we talked to Peter Groskopf yesterday from Ultimate. I don't know if you know him, but he's talking a lot to the European Commission and,
Right.
and the European Central Bank.
Yeah.
And the one thing he's observing is that people already put NFTs in a bucket of, okay, this is just an investment vehicle.
Securities.
And it's a security, exactly. Where it's more about the smart contract technology that actually underlies all the projects. And so, like you said, like a project like Starbucks actually showing the utility, not even using NFTs in their wording, but actually leveraging smart contracts. That's probably the way forward.
100%. And I know the maxis out there don't want to hear it, but regulation is going to be a key place for us to go from 0 to 1. It's just what it is, right? Because as soon as we have it, the average Joe, again, is going to feel and will be protected from a lot of things that we don't want people to get hurt. But without that, there is no way that people won't get hurt. We see every week now, 100 million, 500 million has been exploited from a DeFi platform or from a protocol. We've seen the Luna disaster. I mean, as long as there is no clear regulation on those sectors as well, this whole thing is not going to go where we want it to go, right? And I know it goes against a lot of like the real deep and important elements of why this all started. But I think that we're going to need to find a middle ground there as well.
Yeah, we got to collaborate and build a bridge somehow.
Yeah, and be part of those conversations. I have a lot of friends, as you just said, someone that is being part of those conversations. They're there in the room. And when I first got into working with big brands, that a lot of people in the space were pointing fingers and say, "Oh, you're working with the man now, and you're gonna bring the institutions." And I'm like, if I am not in the room, another person will be there. And I think that I have a good understanding what we want to achieve, and I rather be the one that's gonna be there to at least raise the hand and say we shouldn't be doing that, or I think this would make more sense that way.
Here's to at least raising the hand. Dope. I mean, last question from my end, selfishly also, is just, you mentioned that you consume a lot of content as well. You're learning, you're trying to keep your own finger at the pulse as well. So are there any accounts, any resources, any people you follow, podcasts, newsletters that would recommend to the audience as well?
Yeah. I mean, what I tend to do, Twitter, right? I spend a lot of time there, Discords as well, especially now.
Any favorite accounts on Twitter?
Oh, G Money by far. G by far. Zen. Those are people I've been following from day one. And, like, every time I talk to G, like, he's living 2035, 2045, right? Like, I go and talk to him and I finish the call. I was like, fuck, man, I just need to like revisit everything I'm doing. Right. So, and listening, like, his podcast is extremely, underrated right now, like, incredibly. I went to watch a talk that he had, an interview that he had with the founder of Heisenbiety, and there was like 200 views. And I was like, the amount of incredible insights from those two talking about culture and fashion, it's insane. And people are still not paying attention because they're busier looking at charts.
Speaking of culture and fashion, what's up with the pink theme? Was that something you were like, before you were about to drop on LinkedIn, you were like, okay, I got this master plan?
No, dude, that's funny because it happened organically, because my alien has a pink background, right?
It does.
That's where it comes from. And then the more I think about it, the more, it starts standing for something. So, like, the alien for me is how I ever felt in my life. I always felt like an alien. I was talking about stuff that people were like, what are you talking about? Like, gaming, like esports. You think that people are going to get paid to play video game? Like, which world do you live? And we were organizing like the World Cyber Games in Brazil for Samsung, where we would, get the best people in the country in certain games and bring them to like almost like a Olympic game in a final, where they would see who is the best player of Counter-Strike, the best player of like FIFA. So, and, we went to China in 2009, and I saw like people being treated like as heroes after finishing a World of Warcraft match or something. It was like, holy shit, like that's what I'm talking about. So I didn't feel as much alien as I was. And then throughout my career, I always felt like that. And with NFTs, metaverse, and all of that is not different now. The guy with the pinky beanie enters a C-suit to the company Fortune 500 and talk about the future. Like I still feel that way. So the alien represents that to me. And the pink thing for me became a cheeky way to also shock a little bit, because we live in a bro culture within crypto and all of that. And the least thing you would expect is someone wearing, a pinky beanie coming in and talking about it. So
although you fit in right with the background, we're all colorful and funky here.
So we go there and we bring more of those conversations, and it's extremely needed. And it's kind of like what sort of like happening. End up happening, and every time I'm not wearing, people are calling me out. So I feel like it's my duty now to do it, which is really funny because people are like, "Who is this guy?"
So true though. I mean, I walk through the space and all of a sudden I see this shiny pink beanie, and I'm like, okay, this must be Diego. Even though I've never seen you in person, I've seen maybe 1 or 2 LinkedIn videos. Otherwise, I just associated you with the PFP.
Right.
So it works.
Right. Yeah. No, it's funny. It ended up being a funny thing. I think it's become a meme at a certain point. And at a certain point, as I say that I'm the brand guy, I think that's kind of like what ended up being.
So here's 2 more beanie appearances.
One beanie dropped.
Yeah. To the very few people that don't know you, Diego, where's the best way to connect with you? And I mean, we talked about the LinkedIn profile. Is there any other place?
LinkedIn, man. LinkedIn is where I'm spending all my attention right now. As a creator, as a consumer, I spend on Twitter. So I consume content on Twitter and create content on LinkedIn. So if you go to my Twitter, you will not see a lot of action. But then if you go to LinkedIn, is where a lot of things is happening. So just hit me up on Diego Borgo, BORGO on LinkedIn. You'll see the pink alien there, and that's me.
Diego, thank you for your time. Any last thing you want to share with the audience? Any final words, mindsets?
I think
slogan.
I think the real thing is especially for the people that still not sure about all this and still aren't convinced, which is a great thing. One thing is, don't FOMO. Don't let people push you into it. Don't let people convince you. Whoever's trying to convince you is full of shit. I'm never trying to convince. I'm trying to show what I have seen. And then you create a conversation where people feel welcome to have. And if they want to be part of it, cool. If they don't, move on with your life. Totally fine. Right. So I think that's extremely important. And the second thing is to dig deeper. I think, the mainstream media has done a really good job at confusing people on what this is all about. So digging deeper is a way for you to be smarter and don't let the narrative drive your thoughts. Rather, reverse engineer and find by drinking it from the source and making your own conclusions. Again, your conclusion might be, this is nothing and those people are crazy. Cool. But at least you got your own point of view.
Beautiful words of wisdom to conclude this fun, spontaneous interview. Diego, I appreciate your time once again.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
And to round 2 at some point.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm up to it.
Yeah, connect with Diego and shoot him a message on LinkedIn. And with that, I think that was the last, maybe second last interview of the conference. Thanks to everyone who's tuned in, who's been here. I'm about to get my head exploding soon, but it was good fun. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.